So first of all, excuse me for the audio quality because it's fairly windy outside and I didn't take that into account. But I wanted to make this video because recently the Onewheel Pint came out. Now for those of you who don't know what the Pint is basically a Onewheel Plus, but smaller, more refined, and yeah, that's basically it. But I wanted to make this video because since there's gonna be a lot of new Onewheel owners, they should know about a couple of things, or they should get a couple of things with their Pint. Now, before I tell you what you should get, a little story, because around 3 weeks ago I got myself a Onewheel, and while it has been nothing but fun, the second day that I owned it, I had to get a feel for the board. So I was cruising it around, I was trying to dismount, or figuring out how to dismount, figuring out how to ride, how to take turns. And then the second day I felt a bit more in control of the board, so I started doing a couple of longer rides. So when I did that, I made a nosedive. I leaned a bit too much to the front, and 15 minutes later I woke up with slight amnesia, being transported into an ambulance. So they checked everything. They checked if I had skull fractures or if I had internal bleeding, but nothing was going on, luckily. But I wasn't wearing my helmet. Now, I didn't take my headphones here, but I was wearing headphones, the ones that can actually let through ambient noise, and they basically cushioned my fall, because if I wasn't wearing that, I probably would have broken something. The headphones were cracked all the way through, but yeah, that basically saved me. I had severe road rash, and I have a, how do you say it, a bruised wrist, I guess. So after that I started buying a couple of things I figured I should have bought way ahead of times. So one of those things is a helmet. Now you can basically get any helmet that's right for cycling or skating, but I went with the 1000 helmet, and for one, it looks fairly nice. It has this matte black finish and these faux leather straps. I really like them, and it's also adjustable, so depending on the size of your head you can actually adjust this band in the back. Now, the main reason why I bought this one instead of any other one is basically this little logo over here. This is a pop lock, so basically it pops back in with a magnet. Now, why would you need this? Well, this is basically very handy once you go on your Onewheel and you have a U-lock or something like that, and you don't want to bring this inside, so you don't want this to be dangling on the side of your bag, and you just want to leave it with your Onewheel, if you're even willing to leave your Onewheel out in the open with a simple lock on it. But you can actually thread the lock through this little hole. So that's basically why I recommend this one instead of any other one, because it has this function. Now, real talk, I never actually use this, so most of the times I'm like, I'm gonna be back in a bit. So when I go grocery shopping and I leave my Onewheel outside, it's too much of a hassle, so basically I just strap this around my bag. But in cases where I'd be away for a longer period of times, I would definitely use this. So that's basically why I chose this one, and why you might choose this one as well. Now, the second thing I would recommend is, since I fell on my wrist, it's still not fully healed yet, and I can't basically access too much force on it, so is a wrist guard. Now, you could go for any wrist guard, but I went for the Ennuj. I'm not even sure how to pronounce it, but they fit perfectly. I know some Onewheelers like to use a hillbilly wrist guard, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, it's purely a personal preference. So if you like to go with the hillbillies or with some other shape, you should go for that. Now, the third thing is something I already talked about, and that is this little lock. I just noticed a couple of people cycling behind me, and actually I feel so awkward right now. But this lock, this is the Kryptonite Evolution LITE. I believe it has a 6 in its name. I will link to the exact product down below so you could check it out. Basically, this little guy is apparently fairly strong, fairly light, and easy to carry around. So yeah, I read a lot of people on a subreddit, I believe it's the Onewheel subreddit, who actually use this one. And yeah, they're right. Basically pull it around the aluminium part or the metal part that's next to your wheel, where there's a gap, so you can actually mount this. And so far it has been nothing but great. Yeah, I carry it around daily, everywhere I go. So check this one out. Now the last thing that you should get, or I would recommend you getting, is basically a fender for your one wheel. Now, if you're just riding along pavement, that wouldn't really be a problem, but once you get off-road, basically right now here, there's lots of little rocks and stones and whatnot, so when I'm riding around my one wheel, I can actually hear them bumping around my fender. So I know they're not getting on my trousers, they're not getting on my shoes, so everything stays clean. And especially in a country like this, the Netherlands, where it rains a lot, it's so, I would say, necessary. That's why I'm including it, by the way. I think it's a necessary evil to your one wheel. Now, if you don't care about that, yeah, you know, it's all up to you. Shouldn't have to, but that's what I would recommend. So yeah, that's basically the 4 things that you should get as a new Onewheel Pint user, a new Onewheel XR user. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like, leave me a comment, let me know if you want to see something else, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.